that was fighting for gay rights, and people were killed.
Nobody was killed at Stonewall.
Nobody was killed.
When it comes down to RuPaul's Drag Race, the more time that passes from a season, the less people remember. Yet there's some things that no matter how much time passes, fans always seem to be referencing and never get tired of talking about it. One of these events was the Valentina Maskgate fiasco, which took place in season 9. This event would go on to define a significant part of Valentina's journey through the world of RuPaul's Drag Race. Welcome to Greengate Quickies. In this video, I'm going to focus on Valentina's controversial elimination, some drama she'd end up getting into, and some key moments in her post-Drag Race life. But first, let's hear a message from our sponsor. If you're like me, you probably enjoy putting on a nice scent whenever you're about to go on a special date, or even just to hang out with some friends. Which is why I want to talk about Scentbird, an easy-to-pay subscription service that delivers a customized set of fragrances to your door every month. Although, when it comes to picking out colognes and perfumes, I can sometimes be very picky. But thankfully, Scentbird has a wide range of selection when it comes to their products, with over 1,000 designer fragrances being ready to ship to your house at any moment. Now, I know that sometimes when it comes to subscription services, it can be a hassle, but Scentbird makes it easy, with a website interface designed for anyone to be able to quickly navigate through their many discounts and scent selections. I was actually lucky enough to try Scentbird out myself, and I was pleasantly surprised to learn that they have a Scentbird quiz which helps people have a better idea of which fragrance would suit them best. I ended up ordering 3 different cologne samples that quickly arrived in the mail a couple days later. Yet despite the fact that they were just samples, the packaging was actually really detailed, which really helped elevate the whole experience. And I really enjoy that it's designed to look so regal. If you'd like to check the ones that I ordered, I selected Electric Wood by Room 1015, Bergamus by Heretic, and Well Played by Confessions of a Rebel. I ended up trying out my samples before going out to a party. I was surprised that you didn't need a lot of sprays in order to get the scent to stick to you. The first time I wore a Scentbird fragrance on myself, I received a lot of compliments from my friends and family, which also means that you could also purchase Scentbird to give a gift to a loved one. As mentioned before, Electric Wood by Room 1015 was a very good scent to wear. So that was definitely my favorite one of the 3. Please make sure to use my coupon GREENGAY for 55% off your order at Scentbird. This service is available to you if you live in the United States or Canada. And please let me know in the comments which Scentbird fragrance is your favorite. Now back to the video. Valentina was the first queen from season 9 to ever be introduced to the fan base of the show, which was done through a live stream interview hosted by Michelle Visage just a couple hours before the release of the full season 9 promo. As soon as the interview was done, it seemed that Valentina's bubbly personality instantly resonated with the fan base.
They think Valentina is kind of like the young version of each one of them. All my tias.
Of course.
But they're just jealous that I'm skinnier than they ever were.
Skinny isn't everything, girls. Skinny ain't everything. Just saying.
Why?
Represent for the big girls. That's a whole different conversation that's meant to be off this camera.
Oh, okay.
There's better things in life than being skinny. Alice wants to know, what's your biggest fear?
When season 9 began airing, many viewers were left baffled when Valentina stated during the premiere episode that at the time of filming, she had only been doing drag for 9 months, which was pretty impressive considering the level of polish that she was displaying in her drag. That being said, it wouldn't take long for fans to start investigating the validity of that statement. Thanks to the Nancy Drews of the fandom, receipts began to surface showing that Valentina had been doing drag for at least a couple years prior to getting on the show. Valentina had participated in the Boulet Brothers Dragula. This was before Dragula would end up becoming its own television show. And Valentina actually ended up winning the title of Boulet Brothers Dragula. Although Valentina did justify the whole 9 months statement by saying that she had only been getting high-paying regular gigs for 9 months prior to getting cast on season 9. Although many fans have speculated that Valentina was probably just trying to impress the viewers at home, since typically newer queens don't have a good level of polish to their drag. By the end of season 9 episode 9, the bottom 2 queens were Nina Bonina Brown and Valentina. They would have to lip sync to Greedy by Ariana Grande. It seemed that storyline wise, this was a pretty good moment for Valentina to showcase her performance ability to the audience audience at home. But once the lip sync began, Valentina's mask remained on her face, while the judges looked at her puzzled by what was going on. Eventually, one of the biggest gags would occur as RuPaul stopped the lip sync for your life midway through the song. He then confronted Valentina, ordering her to take off her mask. But Valentina refused to do so, stating that she, quote, would like to keep it on, please. At this point, RuPaul was already looking pretty agitated and said to Valentina, quote, this is a lip sync for your life. What part of that do you not understand? After an intense stare down, Valentina took off her mask, revealing an unfinished makeup job. Production then restarted the lip sync, and the truth was revealed that Valentina did not know the words to the song, with the majority of the performance featuring Valentina trying to cover her mouth and mostly standing on one area of the stage. By the end of it, RuPaul announced that Nina Bonina Brown had won the lip sync, meaning Valentina had been eliminated. The shockwaves that stemmed from Valentina's elimination were felt worldwide. Fans had a hard time accepting the fact that Valentina had not only been eliminated, but that it was also completely justified. Somehow though, a lot of these fans would aim their anger at Nina Bonina Brown, attacking her online by calling her racial slurs, sending death threats, and all of the horrible things that we know the fanbase likes to do. There was also never any statements made from Valentina after her elimination that addressed any fans of the show. Which reminds me, if you're ever bored, go look up live reactions to Valentina's elimination. One of my favorite pieces of footage that exists from this era is a viral video showing a gay bar in Los Angeles reacting to the lip sync. The link will be in the description. Now, many fans have theorized that if Valentina had actually known the words to the song, she would have ended up staying. And storyline wise, it would have made sense, considering it was Nina's second time in the bottom two and she had fumbled the runway due to everything from the neck down having a lot less detail than the amazing work she did with her face. Valentina was also one of production's favorite queens from the season, so that probably would have given her another edge. Regardless, the reality is that Valentina didn't know the words for this lip sync. Had Valentina gotten to stay, we would have eventually gotten to see some of her unaired looks, such as the outfit that she would have worn for the rainbow runway and the unicorn runway, or what she would have brought to the top 4 finale moment. In July 2020, Hey Qween said in an interview that what occurred on set during the Maskgate fiasco was a lot worse than what was shown on TV. Apparently, RuPaul was very angry about the whole situation, and was at one point yelling at Valentina about the mask. Meanwhile, Valentina was just standing there frozen in fear.
After she said, I would like to keep it on, please.
Yeah.
RuPaul, like you could tell the physical reaction RuPaul had to that, because she snapped back at her like, so I stopped this lip sync for nothing. And RuPaul was like, hello. And there was just like this standoff of like awkward silence of RuPaul being like, does this, like what?
Shay bringing up the story again then prompted Valentina to post on her Instagram story about what it was like when RuPaul stopped the lip sync. In it, she says that she truly does not know what was going through her head in that moment, but what she does remember was being really confused as to why the music had stopped. She then looked over at Nina Bonina Brown, who said in a very gentle voice, "It's okay, girl." Valentina now looks back at that moment as a crazy nightmare of which she has no recollection ever living. In that moment, she was not mentally present. While she acknowledges that it's unfortunate that something so traumatic was aired on television, she's happy that the episode is one of the most iconic in Drag Race history. And she's right, the Valentina moment will be talked about forever, sort of like the Shangela Sugar Daddy speech. It won't matter whether fans have watched the season or not, Valentina's Maskgate will always remain a staple in shocking Drag Race moments. Now, during season 9, Nina Bonina Brown did one of her infamous lives where she was reacting to the Untucked of the latest episode. During the part where Valentina is giving her emotional exit monologue, Nina decided to bless us with an interpretive dance of the show.
This was never supposed to happen. I was going to win. I wasn't prepared. And that is something that I'm gonna have to live with. I love life. I love being a drag queen. This is everything that I've ever wanted. I'm here and I'm living my dream.
One of the sweetest moments of Valentina's exit was when she was packing her bags to go home. She ended up reading some notes that the remaining queens had written to her after her elimination. One of them was Nina's note, which stated, "I regret that we didn't get to know each other from the beginning, but I'm so thankful that we did share great moments. It's so bittersweet. I'm glad I'm here, but I'm sad that you had to leave in the process. You did Mexico proud. I see such a bright future for you. It sucks that all the girls who I get close to leave, and I feel sad and alone again. I was hoping we could help each other out in the next sewing challenge. Sorry that us being on teams together ended us in the bottom, but I have no regrets. Love, Nina." But in regards to Valentina's elimination, other fans also wondered why it was that Valentina never bothered to learn the words to Greedy by Ariana Grande. The season 9 reunion was one of the most hyped ever, because for the first time since season 3, Drag Race would begin having a separate episode specifically for the reunion, something that had stopped in season 4 when both the finale and the reunion episode were merged into one. Anyways, the season 9 reunion would end up being one of the most dramatic episodes ever, with seemingly non-stop iconic moments happening left and right. More specifically, Valentina would end up being announced as Miss Congeniality that had been voted on by the fans. But Aja would end up calling her out, saying that Valentina didn't deserve the title of Miss Congeniality, and that instead the prize should be called Fan Favorite because that's what it really is. What made this moment so entertaining was that all season long, everyone knew that no matter what happened, Valentina was gonna be Miss Congeniality, simply because she was the most loved queen of the season. So I'm sure a lot of these queens had been waiting for this moment since they knew it was gonna happen. In the middle of Valentina getting called out for not being congenial, Farrah stated that Valentina had been ignoring her attempts at creating a friendship after the filming of season 9. Despite this, Valentina assures Farrah that she loves her, to which Farrah says, quote, "You don't love me." Farrah also took to Twitter to talk about how she had been crying for weeks about Valentina not wanting to be friends with her, until she realized that you can't force a friendship. Another reason why the queens felt that Valentina wasn't congenial was due to her silence when it came to the way the fans had been going after the other queens of the season. In fact, a lot of the cast seemed to be coming for Valentina during the reunion, and it wasn't really a surprise. I mean, it was clear from the start of the season that Valentina had become one of the fastest growing obsessions that the fanbase ever had towards a queen. By the time the reunion was filmed, Valentina had reached a status that was echoed by Katya and Adore Delano from seasons prior. So to them, Valentina was this big, super influential person who wasn't trying to control their following in any way. Nina would also later on reply to a fan saying that Valentina should be required to address her fanbase regarding the hate that some of them are spreading online. The treatment that Nina would experience would end up changing the way that she viewed Valentina's fans moving forward. Later on in the reunion, Valentina would apologize for her silence and express to fans that she does not condone hate of any kind. Now, as to whether or not the queens coming for Valentina was warranted or not, some fans have argued that the fact of the matter was that Valentina didn't have control over her fans, especially the ones that were sending hate to other queens. While it was true that it would have been nice for her to at least address the issue that was going on regarding the fans going after Nina Bonina Brown or Alexis Michelle, it's also true that the type of fans that would go out of their way to spread hate to a queen aren't exactly going to be stopped by a simple anti-bullying message. But I still don't get why someone who dislikes a queen would go out of their way to go leave a hate comment. Now moving on, in the summer of 2017, a rumor began to circulate around the fanbase that a queen from season 9 had been demanding club promoters provide her dressing room with champagne and red M&Ms. It all started when a drag queen called Aurora Sexton made a Facebook post saying that she was very disappointed along with emoticons of a red rose. In a follow-up post, Aurora says that she's a pretty well-established queen within her community, having worked with many big names in the industry. For the most part, a lot of the famous drag queens that would come to perform in her city behaved very polite. However, she then tells a story about some queens that weren't so easy to work with. She says that there's been queens that have showed up an hour late, demanded police protection, threatened to cancel the show altogether, were rude to staff members, disappointed fans for deciding not to perform last minute, with one of the more notable accusations being that a queen freaked out at staff shouting, quote, "Why are there no red M&Ms and champagne in my room?" The post reiterates again that she's not talking about one specific queen, but she did point out she was talking about a lot of queens on season 9 that had been displaying this attitude. Aurora then acknowledges that being on tour can be very stressful on a queen, so it makes sense that some days they won't be in the best mood to interact with other people. But at the same time, these queens are being paid thousands of dollars to tour the world, staying at 5-star hotels, while being treated like royalty and receiving endorsements left and right. They are essentially living a life that many local queens wish they could achieve in their drag careers. Therefore, queens who have made it on the show shouldn't behave like a diva when going to these gigs. People then slowly began to speculate that the post may be about Valentina. That's when Naysha Lopez commented on the post and said that instead of beating around the bush, Aurora should have just flat out said that she was talking about Valentina, adding that it's important to be specific about which queen the post is referring to because many other drag race queens do not act that way, and that if Valentina is being a diva, she should be called out so that fans don't speculate about other queens who may have nothing to do with it. Things then started to get worse when Julio Bonilla, a former photographer who worked at one of the clubs that Valentina had performed at, made a post giving his side of the story. In it, he said that Valentina showed up an hour late to her show after demanding that the meet and greets be pushed to the start of the show instead of the end. As for why Valentina was late was because she, quote, overslept. She then arrived to the venue at 11:40, just 5 minutes before the start of the meet and greet. Yet when Valentina showed up, she still wasn't in drag, only having done her makeup. After arriving 25 minutes late to the meet and greet, she then quickly left and stated that she required another 45-minute break to retouch her makeup, which had also been outlined in her contract. The highlights of the post was when she mentioned that Valentina got super upset and let it out on the staff members because they hadn't provided her with champagne and red M&Ms. Things then started to take a turn when multiple sources from queens who had worked at the same bar where Valentina had allegedly made a fuss about champagne and red M&Ms said that Valentina was not the queen who they were referring to. It was also alluded by Lucy Stool, who was friends with Sarah Andrews, the queen who stated Valentina was innocent, that there was a specific queen they were referring to, but doesn't want to give any names. She does, however, use the emoticon of a peach, which many thought was referring to Nina Bonina Brown. Shortly after this, a drag queen named Lola LaCroix, who also books a lot of the Ru girls for their shows, made a post that sort of defended Valentina, saying that when she booked Valentina for a show, there was nothing in her contract that stated anything about red M&Ms, but that even if it was true, providing champagne to a queen isn't a big expense for a bar. In regards to the red M&Ms, it's not uncommon for performers to put a really specifically weird thing in their list of requirements. This allows the performer to see if the show promoter really paid attention to the contract. That being said, Valentina had never requested red M&Ms or champagne. Pretty much the only negative thing the Lola had to say about Valentina was that she was late for a lot of the things that she was required to do, to the point where because of Valentina's reputation at the time, she was told things would start 20 minutes before they actually did. She concludes the post adding that Valentina may be a diva at times, but she was overall very polite and respectful to her. While all this was happening, Valentina never made any public comments. She was probably just sitting back and enjoying all the free promotion. That's when a couple weeks later, after all the drama had died down, Aurora ended up making an apology post about the whole incident, given that her original post was the one that started the whole drama. She again states that Valentina was not the queen that had requested champagne and red M&Ms, but she didn't want to reveal who the actual queen was. She added that Valentina did end up calling her to apologize about some other things that she had done that night. Fans would then get upset at Aurora for allowing the thousands of fans on social media to attack Valentina because they thought she had made the red M&Ms comment, and that even in her apology, she still wasn't providing the truth of who she was talking about. All of a sudden, Detox decided to enter the drama, taking to Facebook to drop the names of the queens from season 9 that had gotten a bad reputation among club promoters. The list includes Valentina, Nina Bonina Brown, Farrah, Charlie Hides, and Kimora Black. Yet there wasn't any further proof for what it was that the queen supposedly did to earn them a bad reputation. It was also strongly speculated by the Nancy Drews of Reddit that the red M&Ms might have been in relation to Nina Bonina Brown, but Nina denied many times that it had anything to do with her. But in 2018, Farrah did an interview with Hey Qween where she said that the queen who had been asking for the red M&Ms was actually Nina Bonina Brown, but that apparently Nina always denies it.
Oh, really?
That was Nina.
Oh, okay.
I found out from everyone in that city that it was actually Nina.
That Nina was asking for champagne and red M&Ms?
Well, Valentina was asking for champagne, which we all ask for champagne. That's
Right,
not.
who doesn't? That's not
It's Nina will deny it to this day, but girl, just admit it. It's funny.
But she also adds that Nina was a very sweet person to work with while on tour, and that Nina should just admit it was her because it was an overall funny story. 2017 was truly the year that fans were obsessed with Valentina, which is why later that year in October, Alaska released a music video for her song titled Valentina, which featured a bunch of references pertaining to season 9. Apparently, Alaska had even contacted Valentina to be part of the video, but due to scheduling conflicts, it was not able to happen. It wouldn't take long before World of Wonder then contacted Valentina, inviting her to compete on All Stars 3. Yet Valentina ended up rejecting the offer due to wanting to take advantage of the exposure she had just received from the airing of season 9. She would then tour the world with the Work the World tour, which takes us to the airing of All Stars 4. Valentina did pretty decent with her run on All Stars, most notably episode 2, which as Farrah likes to say was an orgasm of an episode for Valentina. She got to win the challenge, slay a lip sync to an Ariana Grande song, and eliminate Farrah, the queen who called her out in the reunion. Valentina's All Stars 4 elimination was also pretty talked about once it happened, and while it did feel justified, it was still very hard to see, especially since she'd end up placing 7th on both seasons. Moving on to early 2019, Valentina made headlines when it was announced that she would be starring in Rent the Musical. The character she would be playing was the role of a drag queen named Angel, which is an iconic role within LGBT theater. Something that added depth to the character is that there has been constant speculation over the sexuality of the character of Angel, with some fans stating Angel is supposed to be a trans woman, while others saying he was just a drag queen. At the time that Valentina got the role for Angel, she was going through a huge self-discovery journey regarding her identity. So she really began to question who the character of Angel truly was, and what that meant for her. It is through Rent the Musical that Valentina ended up coming to terms with being gender fluid, saying that there's times in her life where she feels more feminine while feeling masculine at other times. However, an unfortunate thing that would end up happening to the production of Rent the Musical was that on the day of the show, the musical was supposed to be aired live, but one of the main cast members ended up hurting themselves and was unable to perform. So they ended up canceling the whole play. This then forced the network to instead air the dress rehearsal for the play that had been recorded a couple days prior, which was a very unfortunate thing to happen, since typically in dress rehearsals, performers don't really give it their all, which is why Valentina was singing off-key for most of her performance. A moment that after airing, everyone would try to move on from due to how unfortunate everything turned out. Over the recent years, Valentina's drag style has changed a lot. In 2019, Valentina would end up walking the red carpet for the Creative Arts Emmys, where she'd display a runway look that looked pretty stunning. Yet there was a lot of comments online made by fans who didn't like how Valentina looked, saying she looked like a man and other body shaming comments. These comments ended up sort of ruining the Emmys night for Valentina. She posted on social media that the negative comments being made about her appearance has upset her. The whole night she was enjoying everything, living her telenovela fantasy, until trolls online were making cheap digs at her. Now as this video comes to a close, I wanted to go back to when season 9 was first announced. I remember back then, fans had already began going crazy about Valentina, but I still wasn't on board. Until one day before season 9 began airing, I found a video of Valentina performing to Yes Sir, I Can Boogie by Farrah, and seeing her performance made me fall in love with her. Maybe it was the song itself, or maybe it was Valentina's amazing stage presence, but watching this performance always takes me back to a happier place. The link will be in the description. Valentina always said that she was living her telenovela fantasy, but all of us were also able to enjoy that fantasy, and we craved to be blessed with more Valentina moments. In conclusion, Valentina had an X factor that is very difficult for other queens to mimic. It's also something that I noticed is missing with a lot of queens from newer seasons. She was one of the first queens to really gain a huge amount of obsession from the fandom in a short amount of time. And the very fact that a lot of Valentina's brand was about living her quote telenovela fantasy is super fitting, considering her original elimination from the show was arguably one of the most dramatic things to ever happen in the franchise. Her drag style has also drastically changed since she competed on season 9 and All Stars 4. So like I say in all my videos, I really would like to see this queen come back for an All Star season, just as long as she makes it past 7th place this time. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and thank you to Scentbird for sponsoring this video. You guys can make sure to click the link below to get your discount on your next Scentbird order. And I just wanted to give a quick shout out to my patrons Matthew Burns, Azure, and Damien's Pink Shirt. And if you'd like to support me on Patreon, you can find the link in the description. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you'd like to receive updates about my future content, you can follow me on Twitter at Greengate22. And if you'd like to support me on Patreon, you can find the link in the description. See you guys next time.